Hello everyone, and welcome to the stream. Now, this is a bit unusual, but it's time for another art stream. It's been a while. We've been working on Banjo-Tooie and also Spyro the Dragon, and even started on Spyro 2, but I think it's important to remember our roots, so we're gonna still do the occasional art stream, and today I'd like to do a Christmas art stream. I've been working on an illustration, but to be frank, progress has been really slow and the days are passing quickly. So I thought it would light a fire under my chair and actually stream it to force myself to make some more visible progress. So this is gonna be right in the middle of a drawing, but I'll explain how we got here so you're not in the dark as to the whole process. So, without further ado, let's remove the preparing screen. Yesterday I was streaming Mario Golf and I actually just forgot to take off the preparing screen. It was an embarrassment to everyone, my whole family. Not that they were watching, it was just embarrassing. But fortunately that's it seems to me it seems that I remembered correctly this time. So this drawing, you may be wondering, how did it get to this point? What have you done? So let's go through that quickly. So I made a little sketch. The concept is basically a little town, a couple of churches, Christmas tree in the middle, and a little character is playing the trumpet atop the church. That seemed like a very charming idea to me. Very Christmassy. So that's that was my idea, and for this time I thought, what if I do all the elements separate, so I can do a little bit of animation, like maybe have things move slightly to the left and right to get a sort of diorama feel, maybe, you know, move an arm a bit. Just a bit more life, breathe a bit more life into it. I'm not sure if I can actually stream the animation process, because I do that in Animate and Spine and maybe a bit of After Effects. But I'm definitely gonna show you how we're gonna construct this thing. But first we need to finish it. So there's the basics, the ground, and all the different elements. So it's starting to look pretty finished, but we're still missing quite a bit. Also, before I forget, I'll also market this stream to my friends for a bit. There we go, the stream has been marketed. Sorry about that. So let me grab my Wacom pen. So there's a few different things I'm thinking about. You'll notice that the sky and the ground have sort of a gradient with little details in it, and the larger surfaces, like the churches, do not. So the real question is, should I add a soft shade to everything, or is the whole larger single shade areas thing kind of nice in its own way? I've been reflecting on that, and that's been slowing my progress down a lot, because I'm still just fiddling around with the shape of things without settling down and starting to polish it. Also, this is Doki Doki Literature Club music. If it gets, I might have to switch to some Christmassy game music instead. Although this is pretty cute in my opinion. Conducive to an artistic atmosphere. So, unlike with the game streams, it's kind of hard to get the chat in a position where I can see it and the drawing, so I'll be flipping back and forth occasionally. Please forgive the potentially slow progress. So this little church still has a lot of detail I need to get in there. Just gonna get the rough shape of it first, so we can clean it up once we set the layer to 100% opacity again. Now this is a pretty daring color scheme, especially for Christmas. I did something similar last year actually, where this is more pink and blue, with some hints of purple. I actually had a completely purple and yellow piece last year, so apparently I just like to punish myself with really odd color schemes. And then trying to make those work. It's an interesting way to challenge yourself, after all. Oh, I should be careful not to keep changing what I'm working on. That's one of my vices as an artist, is definitely my lack of patience. I'll quickly try to move on from one piece to the next. It's not good. Has to be done properly. I hear explosions outside, but I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. No. Kids are already messing around with fireworks. How very irresponsible. I do like me some fireworks on occasion, but I don't like kids throwing firecrackers at me, let me put it that way. Not that I've experienced such a thing, but... Right, there's a couple of cute little windows in this church as well, so let's check those out. Gotta make sure I have the right color selected, or things get awkward quickly. This is a weird tune, but I like it. Alright, we also need the shading for this darker side of the church. The dark side of the church. Sounds like a book written by Dan Brown. I almost forgot his name and ruined the joke there. Yeesh. Yeah, so commentary is likely to be a bit less riveting than usual, since drawing takes up even more focus than playing a game does, in general. But at least I can comment on the work I'm doing and kind of justify my reasons, to some extent. Of course, feedback is always welcome, because I still consider myself somewhat of a beginner, especially when it comes to digital painting. I would say I'm a pretty good sketcher, and when it comes to simple cartoony pieces, I can really hold my own, but there's still much I have to learn about making full-blown illustrations, and especially including architecture and environments. If you've seen the Halloween illustration, you'll notice I was really set on avoiding anything resembling architecture, opting instead for something a bit more organic. I guess that's the right word. I like things to be organic. And this piece is not quite that. In fact, it's a city with neon colors. It couldn't get any less organic. But that's kind of the point here, is I'm trying to challenge myself a bit. Hopefully it'll work out, and if it won't, well, even a failure is a lesson. I'm gonna finish this to the best of my ability, and if it doesn't turn out good, I will cry, but then I will get over it, and then I will try again. It can get really easy to get stuck with a certain idea you have. Like, I noticed that I sometimes try to rely too much on sort of a childhood memory of how something looks. Like, you've just drawn something a certain way since you were young. Trees are a good example of this, and it can be hard to step away from that familiar concept. So I'll have a tendency when I draw trees to draw them, you know, a bit like this. Or even like that, you know. Very basic, very simple, which works in more cartoony pieces, but in reality trees are a lot more complex in their shape, you know. And if you really want to do it right, you have to start with a cylinder base and kind of iterate upon that, you know. But anyway, that's it can be hard to get rid of such habits. And I was definitely faced with that on this piece as well, especially with churches. Like, I'll just draw a box, and I had to really look into it to even get details like this, like with the arches and such, and the windows in there. Because you kind of think of a church like, indeed, like a box with a tower attached. Which is not really what a tree is, or what a tree is. No, indeed. Which is not really what the... what a church is. It's also not what a tree is, but that was kind of obvious to all of us from the start, I think. So yeah, there are things I will be leaving out, because those will need to be animated. Like this lighting around here, maybe I'll do that in post and animate it in After Effects or Animate. I'm still considering my options regarding the software. Ah, now the music is getting sad. Yeah, I'll probably switch over to something a bit more Christmassy next. Don't want to get sad from a Christmas stream. Though when you think about it, a lot of sad stories tend to prop up during Christmas. It is in the end a winter holiday, and in winter people tend to reflect a lot on their lives, you know. Think about what they have and what they don't have. Fortunately, people often fixate on the latter. Anyway, I'm not gonna preach to you. This ain't a sermon, this is an art stream. The point is, I hope everyone has pleasant holidays. Spite of the struggles we may face. Cherish the friends and family and the opportunities. This is starting to look pretty good, I would say. That church behind it, on the other hand, looks like absolute trash garbage. We'll have to fix that. I don't know how much detail I want to go into with most of these pieces. Because on the one hand, background details are nice, but we are on a time budget here. Can't just waste all of it. Anyway, this one is starting to look pretty good. Oh right, this is the theme that plays when things get a bit too serious. Like the last one was when things get really serious. And this one is when things get particularly serious. Let's get those background buildings out of the way for a bit. I have way too many layers. At least I named them properly. Not that it's helping because there are too many still. Oh, I didn't even give it any detail in the sketch either. Can't say I'm particularly impressed with that. Yeah, when I was playing Doki Doki for the first time, I grabbed this scene and took a screenshot from this scene and uploaded it with the description psychological horror. Specifically the question you are made to answer during this scene. That sounds really vague when you haven't played the game, but there you have it. Not too many people showing up for the art stream, unfortunately. I guess that's just the way of things. Yeah, this church was missing its roof. What is a church without a roof? I guess you could look straight up at the heavens from a church like that. But it would be cold, especially in winter. Romantic nonsense as I did would be pretty impractical. I guess we should segment it just like the other churches. No need to get overly fancy with it. I hope Dan Salvator doesn't copyright claim me. He probably won't. I don't think he actually copyright claims his soundtracks. Though if he really wants to, it's fine. It's talking. It's not like I earn any money from my videos anyway. So the Steam holiday sales have begun, and I went right ahead and bought me Danganronpa V3. Because I've been looking at that game for a long time. Oh man, this is where the soundtrack gets a bit too creepy. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Already talked about too many dark subjects. Nah, it's nothing so sinister, but I think we should move on to something a bit more Christmassy. That's absolutely gonna get copyright claimed. Like, without a single doubt. Let's see. Where is the delightfully copyrighted music I want? You know what? I'll just pick something. Come on. Let's think of something. Here we go. Can already see the ads Nintendo is gonna put on this video in the YouTube version. But that's okay. It is their music. This is a slightly big window, isn't it? That's better. Perhaps have a few windows in the side of this. Speaking of which, this church should probably have a few windows as well. But one thing at a time. We shouldn't get distracted so easily. I'm just adding those nice background details, because I think I could already animate this piece and have it look pretty good. But, well, if I can make it look even better than it does, that's all the better. There, nice, very cute. If I do put this into After Effects, I could do like a mist or smoke effect.
Maybe there should be a bit of that yellow lighting on this, because it is, the moon is in a certain sense pointed straight towards it. Yeah, Kirby's Epic Yarn probably has one of my favorite Christmassy levels in general. It's very cute, very sweet. Maybe I'll take this opportunity to play all of the video game music that's Christmassy that I like. Next up will probably be Shiver City from Paper Mario. That's a very cute one. Oh, before I forget, we should probably save a new version so we can see the progress we've made. There, saving. Stream is still working okay. Well, the church is now finished, but it has like, it should have a rooster on top as well. Or something at least. This looks more like an arrow, but... how does this guy look? Let's really accentuate that tail. It's one of the most visually distinct parts of a rooster, after all. Not that I'm a rooster expert, but... I guess you could call me Mr. Rooster. That makes no sense if you don't know my last name. Disregard this terrible in-joke that only, like, a very small handful of people would get. People seem to be jumping in and jumping out, probably expecting Spyro or Mario Golf and getting to see my mediocre drawing instead. That's a bit of a big beak there. Yeah, it should be a bit smaller. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, he needs the hair. There we go. Let's shave a bit off the top here. Add a nice light to it so it doesn't look so flat. There we go. Yeah, light shouldn't be as strong at the bottom. There we go, I guess. We should probably add some shadow as well, because it still looks kind of flat there. Most of the stream has been spent messing with this. kind of falls into the background, but then again, it is kind of part of the background. We'll have to reflect on whether or not we want it to stay that way. But that at least finishes that. Let's, now that we have put the little rooster on top, let's also add those windows we needed. When I start animating this, I'll probably add like a little animated glow that flickers a bit to it, just to give it that bit of extra life. You can only bring in there with some good old animation. I know it looks like a big old mess under there, but that's kind of how it goes with sketching and... yeah, you know. Make sure those windows are nice and rounded. Look at all the lights in this city. Perhaps the background needs to get a bit darker towards that side, just to lead the eye properly. The background does have soft shading, so we'll mess with the opacity for a bit. There we go. Now these windows on the houses here ought to actually shed some light, shall we say, on their environment. So let's do that. Now that this church is done, we'll turn our attention to these little houses in the foreground. Let's see, my connection is not very good. It's the... We have dropped a few frames. Let's see if we can amend that. Yeah, and once I get all the details in place, I'll have to ask myself, and perhaps the audience, the question of how will I approach these larger set pieces? Will I give them soft shading, or will I keep these larger areas of a single tone? Do we step away from simplicity? That is the real question, isn't it? Well, enough cleaning up. Let's get this stuff in place. Just have to check if I was actually drawing on the proper layer. You know how it is. It's easy to make a mistake. Why not use the magic wand? I feel like the perspective on this window is not quite right. Not quite right. I have to adjust that a bit. Actually, all the windows are a bit askew, aren't they? I kind of did it on purpose in the background to add that little childlike charm. But especially when the windows get real close to the viewer, I'm not sure if that's what we want. We're having an unusually low amount of viewers. I'm gonna check something real quick, if you don't mind. Please forgive me. Ignore the Skype noise. There's no Skype noise here. There we go. Send it to a few more people just to make sure. I deny any involvement of Skype in this procedure. Yeah, I think if I'm gonna establish like light areas as clearly as this, I should probably bring in the soft shading too. Otherwise I should have done this light as a separate layer or as a separate effect. So I'm thinking maybe it'll be a good idea to do some soft shading in here. I could be completely wrong, of course. Right, now that we are... Well, is the microphone still attached? Yeah, look. Oh. Looks like it's still working. But now I keep hitting it with my arm and the filter keeps falling off. Oh man. We sure are running a professional operation here. That brush is a bit too big, I think. Let's take a few steps back. Yeah, this one deals with the perspective better, this window. I also don't think this shadow is proper. It should probably be as dark as the actual side here. Let me check what are if we're missing any critical parts here, so I can move on to potentially start polishing the different bits and pieces. Let's see. Have we made a lot of progress? I think it's important to keep an eye out to see if I'm keeping up a good pace. It's a pretty minor difference. It's pretty minor. I mean, we did do a few things in that version, so that's not all the progress, but still pretty slow. Hey there, Thomas, welcome to the stream. I'm just trying to get all the separate parts done, so I can potentially polish them. As you know, I'm doing everything on separate layers, and it's quite confusing. So one thing I was thinking about is to what degree do I want soft shading in these larger objects? Because they are kind like the space itself is kind of defined now, so now I just need to figure out to what extent I want to do soft shading. Because I have done some soft shading in the sky and on the ground here, so that's what I was thinking about. And the characters that are gonna be explicitly animated have a thick black outline, which makes them stick out. So, many things left to think about, I suppose. Alright, see you later. Let's get another Christmassy tune in here. If we can find it.
If you write anything on your computer.
Oh man, commercials. Commercials. There we go, a different Christmassy tune to enjoy. Wait, this big church has a few Christmassy lights on it, which I want to apply now. If I can stay focused for long enough. Let's do all the red lights first. I'm drawing to the tune of the music. It's like a dance between me and the drawing. Now let's do the green lights. Yeah, not as precise as I would like. I think maybe I shouldn't use the sketch as an example and just draw this from scratch. If it will cooperate with me for a minute. Yeah, let's just go back to 100% opacity. And do it like this. And now the red lights. Because though this is a piece that is mainly pink and blue and yellow, you gotta have some of that Christmas red and green in there. Uh, 8-Bit Music Theory is a cool channel, and they recently released a pretty interesting analysis of Christmassy game music that I liked a lot. That was very cool. Like he mentioned that people sometimes quip like you can make a normal tune into a Christmas tune just by adding the little bells, and he explains that there's a bit more to it. So I thought that was cool. Look at those lights. Pretty basic, but we're gonna fancy it up with some softer lights once we get to the next stage. So don't you worry. It is all part of a grand design. There we go. It's feeling so Christmassy in here. Perhaps I should decorate the clock a bit too. And I don't mean decorate as much as put some numbers on there. They're a bit close together, aren't they? I don't think it's a problem, but we'll keep an eye out for things getting a bit too busy. Yeah, it makes it look nice. It's such a small detail, but when you zoom out and you look at it, suddenly this piece is a much more has a much higher concentration of detail. And the arrow points up at her. Whoa. Look at these dirty composition tricks. Perhaps this side should be a bit darker. We want a bit more contrast in the sky, perhaps. I like it when it keeps selecting the darn thing. Come on, man. And now I'm gonna have to dig into history to remove that again. Thanks, Photoshop. You're a real pal. It keeps doing it. There you go. Yes. Deselected, thank you. I shouldn't get frustrated. This is a Christmas drawing stream. Only love and happiness here. Almost made a really big mistake there. Drawing on the wrong layer can be a detriment to these things. Yeah, let's darken the sky outside of the brightest area. Because I've polished it so much that it ends up being all the same. But polishing has to happen with a certain control. You can't just polish without direction. Can be easy to just start evening everything out, but usually that won't always benefit your drawing. Polish is good, but you have to think about why. Yeah, this definitely benefits the composition a lot. This diagonal line almost seems to lead you to the moon there. I'm gonna do a lot of these comparisons so I can keep an eye on my progress. Because one of the major reasons why I'm doing this stream, like I said at the beginning, is I haven't been progressing as quickly on this drawing as I should. You know how it is, you start to get stuck on the small details and forgetting the important stuff. And now we're 4 days out from Christmas and I'm not as done as I would like to be. Which is why I'm streaming now. Okay, I've made my decision. I'm gonna do some soft shading on these. I'm gonna keep it fairly simple, but I think there should be soft shading. It took me a while to really decide that, but there you go. That's my final decision. Particularly where it's light. I think I sometimes like I just mentioned with the sky, I sometimes over-polish shadow to the point of disappearing. But I think light can use a bit, can be a bit muted. This is a night / sundown, sun up piece after all. Look at that. Already it's getting a better feel, in my opinion. Let's do the same thing here and see how that works out. Yeah, look at that. I rather like the look of that. These buildings need a shadow too, don't they? And those need a better shadow. Well, we'll do one thing at a time. Like I said, I don't want to confuse myself too much. Perhaps I should do the shadow on the layer itself. Or under it. Make another layer. Like, this piece may not look as complex as it is, but... for example, this little character here, this little lady with the trumpet. She's quite complex. Look at all... This is her in her entirety. Quite a bit of detail there. Same for the church bird and not the rooster, the court bird as well. I do like the look of her. The little gloves and the little scarf and the haircut. She seems like the type of person to be sitting atop a church playing the trumpet, no? Alright, one thing at a time. I keep looking at things I want to do. At least I'm finding a lot of things I want to change and adapt now that I'm streaming. I think it was a good idea. Like, art streams don't really draw in the masses the way a popular game does. But it's good for me to make it more productive. You know, even if there's only one person, one friend watching, that's already worthwhile. It won't help me get to the affiliate position I want, but there's more important things in life. Like getting to partner. No, I'm kidding. Now let's have a bit of fall off from that shadow. In fact, let's just dull it out a little bit. Yeah, that starts to look rather nice. I like that. Oh yeah, that's nice. Look at the atmosphere. I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I am pretty happy with how this looks so far. It's very simple, but effective, I would say. Okay, now the shadow is done. Next, let's look at these houses again. We finished up the contours or shapes, but we're still working on the soft lighting. How about we make those windows a bit more gentle in terms of their lighting? I was worried for a second I was drawing on the wrong layer, but no problem, no problem.
Let's make sure the light actually works with the perspective too. Now let's clean the actual inside of it because, well... I'll try the same thing with this window. I feel like these windows need some work still. They don't look very good. Especially the shape of the window here. When I tried to fix it, it just got worse. Let's try to soften the light on that other window as well. This is just a first pass for detail, I guess. Doesn't need to be done now, though I do want all the pieces to be in place, shall we say. Definitely shouldn't be adding new stuff anymore. Unless I get a really cool idea, then maybe. There's always exceptions to the rule. Well, let's try it with the other windows, because I'm not sure if this is working for these houses. I may need to sweep... I think I'm gonna... remove those and maybe try something different with those. Let's see if it works with these houses. Well, did I just open Steam accidentally? You can tell if I you'll be able to tell by my internet exploding because the holiday sale has begun. Steam servers are abuzz with holiday cheer and people spending money on games they'll never play. I've already bought the game I wanted, so I'm not sure if I'll buy any more. Maybe I will. I kinda like the effect, but... Well, let's see what happens when we strengthen the blue here.
I should be careful not to actually include the chimneys here. Brush strokes to the music. It's like magic. Not sure if this is quite right though. May have to take a few steps back. No, the windows are fine for now. I think I know what's missing here. There needs to be a darker shadow right under the roof, I think. Yeah, that doesn't look very nice. Let's take a step back. Yeah, maybe we just need a bit of shadow here. Oh, I didn't want the clone stamp. There, the roof should be separate from the house after all. What's the plan? That's a good question. All the bits and pieces are kind of in place, but I've been thinking about to what extent I want to do soft shading and to what extent I just want the there to be like flat shapes and surfaces like these buildings. And I kind of lean towards giving at least some subtle softening to the lights. But I want to do some things outside of Photoshop as well, like moving the character's arms and such, so... Still thinking about what I should be adding soft shading to and what I shouldn't. So, that's not really a solid answer to your question, but I guess what that means is I'm not 100% sure what the plan is. I'm just establishing more detail, trying to up the contrast a bit, you know. In fact, maybe... This is a daring decision, but maybe we should just do it. Because these lights on these buildings are throwing me off a bit because they're so in the foreground. Why don't we just get rid of most of these lights? And maybe do one or two, just very subtle ones, instead of this big old street full of lights ruining my composition. Oh right, the glow on the horizon. It's kinda there, but it's still weak. I need to give that a bit more power. But thanks for putting it out, I'll get to that soon. As it goes further from the light, I guess it should get darker here, so... I kind of like that it transitions to a darker color as it gets further from the background. This also happens to the left and to the right in a more subtle way, after all. Maybe make the shadow less heavy as it gets to the edge. It goes further away after all. It should be less clear there. Yeah, the color palette is pretty intense to look at, isn't it? That's why I've been doing this, like muting the pink with a bit of that blue, which is somewhat less saturated. Or actually, the pink is less saturated than the blue. I'll have to reconsider everything about my life. No, I'll have to reconsider a few things here. So, would you, let me ask your opinion then, would you desaturate the pink or the blue? Because the blue is more of the mid-tone here. It kind of operates as the mid-tone. Let's try something. Let's just be daring, shall we? Let's save a new version, because I'm not that daring. So what if the blue is a bit more like this? Does that give more room for the pink to look nice? Oh, you would desaturate the pink, not the blue. Right. Whoopsie! Starts desaturating the blue right away. I really need to pay better attention. Anyway, we're gonna have a look at what happens when we desaturate the pink. Bear with me for a second. So the blue should be darker, so maybe the pink should be a bit brighter, but a bit less saturated. So a bit on this side of it. How would that look? How do you feel about that tone? How do you feel about this level of pink? I'll try it on a larger surface as well, just so we can examine it more closely. it would look as thus. As thus. There we go. How do you think that looks? I actually think it looks pretty neat. Personally, but... Oh hey, we've listened to a whole half hour of Snowball Park from Super Mario 3D World. How about that? Let me pick out another tune to listen to while I wait for your feedback. Let's see here. Oh, isn't this a cute tune? Right. I made it lighter, yes, but I also desaturated it. You want it to be darker? My problem is if I make it darker... Let's go back for a bit. If I make the pink darker, it'll be brighter, it'll, and then by, how do I explain this? By extension, the blue would have to be darker as well, because the blue is only barely darker than the pink. Like a tiny little bit. So if the pink goes, the blue has to go too, in a different direction. But, with that said, I'm absolutely willing to give it a look. Let's try it again on this big old church here. Photoshop, please. Thank you. Photoshop doesn't want to work with me. So, let's see. You want to make it darker by adding blue to the pink. So, that would bring it more towards purple, right? So, something like that. I like... do I like it? It kind of loses that flare, that neon flare it has. Well, let's... I just removed it. Yeesh. Gotta pay more attention. So it would look like this compared to this. Is this closer to what you would expect it to be? Because it increases cohesion, but it damages contrast, I would say. It's definitely not a bad choice, though. Let's see how it looks in the middle ground. Oh, maybe not that much. I selected the wrong color. You bring up a good point. After all, the contrast is supposed to be here, not there. So perhaps having it be a bit more muted here and a bit more intense towards the vocal point might be a good idea. No, you're absolutely right, actually. Contrast is good, but context is important as well. I'll try that hexadecimal you have for pink. Let me put it right in here. Let's try that. Thanks for the suggestion. I do appreciate you joining the stream and really thinking with me. It's always nice. It's nice, but it also is very close to the blue. But perhaps, well, it is very nice and cohesive. I can agree with that. Perhaps I'll use it, but what happens if you put it in large, like near the vocal point, like here? No, like here, here. Like, I think I should do this on the environment, but not on the vocal point. What do you think? Can I keep the strong pink here and use this this purple-ish blue on the rest of the environment? How would that look? I'm gonna try it, but I'm interested in hearing how you feel about keeping the pink here, but using the blue here. I am starting to really like the look of this this color here, yeah. Slightly muted contrast is definitely gonna guide the eye more towards where I need it to be. Once again, thanks for the tip. It's much appreciated. I am always so scared to start doing art streams, but once I'm actually doing it, it's so much fun. It's just a bit hard to set up, you know, with the microphone and the tablet and Photoshop and OBS. Alright, cool. Yeah, I actually think this... Let's compare it to what it used to be, actually. Yeah, this guides the eye a lot better, wouldn't you say? Because the pink starts to get stronger towards the vocal point, where it's also the moon, so it makes perfect sense on a natural level as well. Yeah, just in general, I think the composition benefits from this. Nice. Yeah, vocal point and vocal point. Cool, I'm really starting to see what I want this piece to become. I had actually planned to like have the basic outline of it completely finished today, so I can start to do some exporting tomorrow. Animation on Saturday and finishing up on Sunday, perhaps with some smoke in After Effects and cool stuff like that. I was hoping to really take it to the next level. I have finally put up some of those Twitch animations and such I made on my portfolio, which I think helps a lot. It's definitely something magical to adding stuff to your portfolio, you know, especially if you haven't done it in a while. Feels good, man. Anyway, I'm talking and not working. Yeah, what if we do something interesting here? Grab this color. And as it goes further down, we make it more of that muted version. There we go. Now that that's settled, let's do some more softening of the lights and shadows. Then we're starting to see the true form of this picture. You cannot grasp the true form of this picture. gently trying to make this work. Same thing for the bottom of the houses. Seems to blend pretty nicely, in my opinion. We may have to redo this part, because the blending is a bit weird. Oh, am I on the right layer? Oh, I am. For some reason I thought I was on the wrong layer. Imagine my confusion when it was actually the right layer all along. There we go. At this rate I might actually get this done. So let's start shading, let's start adding some gentle light to this. You really like the shading on the front row house on the left side. Thank you, thank you. Starting to get the feel for it again. Your Christmas illustration was shaping up to look pretty awesome. You were doing something really cool with a more vectorized, stylized type image. Really looking forward to seeing where that will lead. Knowing your work, it's gonna be awesome. Can't wait to see it. Oh, you don't like the color of the lights. You feel that perhaps an orange or a brighter yellow might be more sufficient. I'll definitely consider that. And for now, I'll mostly start working on the shadow, in case we start to revise the whole light. Got a slightly smaller brush here, because we are working on some details. Yeah, we can try a different color of light. Yeah, so this part is kind of sort of a difference in depth here. Gotta be careful. It needs to be soft, but it needs to not be dirty. And the line between soft and dirty, as we all know, can be quite vague. Let's see, you have some suggestions for the color of the light. Well, I'm not one to ignore a suggestion, so let's have a quick look at what those are. This is a very bright orange, and the other one is... Yeah, I'm also pretty worried about how far I'll get, but you know what? We'll just get it as done as we can, and then it'll be what it'll be, you know? I'm sure we can make something great of it. Like, I was planning to make this into a full-blown animation too, but the longer I work on it, the more I think maybe I ought to take it easy. I'm gonna test which one of your color suggestions I like the most. I definitely like the slightly brighter one more. So why don't we try that one? Once again, foreground church will be our guinea pig. Our very tall and church-shaped guinea pig. Ooh, it definitely conveys more of a Christmassy feel that way, don't you think? Warm light. I could use them both, yeah? How do you feel about the way it looks now? I like it. Maybe we'll use the darker variant for houses that are a bit further away from the camera. But yeah, this makes more sense. Now that we've moved a bit from purple to blue, it also makes sense to move from yellow to orange. That's just the rule of contrast, isn't it? So I think this is a good idea. Yeah, the front church definitely needs the brighter variation. That big old brush and fearlessly smear it across the piece. And we'll probably use the yellow here because it's still the most purple part of the drawing. Or maybe not. We'll have to consider that. I'm probably gonna stop the stream at about the 2-hour mark because I am rather sleepy. And there's still other work yet to be done, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, this is going in the right direction. Perhaps I could give the moon a slightly orange. Let's check. There. Oh, whoops, that just messed with the sky. Fortunately, it was the latest thing I did, so no harm, no foul. Yeah, I'm starting to get some Christmassy feelings from this drawing now. And speaking of Christmassy feelings, we should pick up another tune to listen to, because you're probably going nuts by now. Here, something a bit more relaxed. Right, now that we have a nice shade of orange, you might as well see what happens when we add that to the horizon a bit too. We're being daring, after all. Christmas is a time for taking horrible risks and endangering everything. Or at least that's what they told me. You don't want to overdo it. There. Very soft shading. There we go. I said very soft, but that's already quite a lot actually. Let's take it down a notch. Don't want it to be too much. You like the orange glow? Good, 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 thanks. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, compare this to how it looks. It's such a massive improvement. Just how it looked, rather. Let's do it. Ctrl 0. Look at the... it's not even a comparison. How a few small tweaks can give a piece so much more. It's really something. Yeah, very cool, very cool. If I do say so myself. Well, this right foreground church also needs, desperately I should say, needs some soft shading. So how about we get to work on that? Hmm, 4% might be a bit too much. Let's go for 8. I said, let's go for 8. If it sounds like my voice keeps changing direction, it's because the drawing and streaming and talking is a bit awkward. I wish I had my own studio, that would help. I think it would be kind of neat to have my own studio to stream in. Like the bigger Let's Players and YouTubers have their own studios to do to ply their craft in, shall we say. Yeah, a bit of that nice soft shading is gonna bring out those lights even more. By the way, this piece is tentatively titled In the Cold Air, but I have no idea what to actually call it yet. I wonder if it's even something a lot of artists think about, the title of a piece. It seems like such an old-fashioned artist thing to do these days. But I am old-fashioned in certain regards. I think we're missing something here, so let's get that 100% opacity back for a second and really critically look at what we have here. Remove this and this. Let's examine... Please, let's examine the sketch once again. Alright, yeah, there's a layer of snow on this building. Or there should be. So let's fix that. Because without snow, where's Christmas, huh? Ah, it seems I've made a mistake in attaching the building here. Well, let's begin to fix that. There. And let's do some of that gentle pink shading on top. Because in the end, I think the light is very strong here, so it should be hitting this part at least a bit. And if it isn't, I'll just embellish the reality a bit by adding it anyway. Now let's soften that up a bit. Okay, let's be careful not to go too far here. There, simple and effective. And there we have it. Another nice detail added. Let's give that snow some extra shadow. Some extra thick shadow. Okay, no. Maybe not. Look at that. Isn't it adorable? Plus, it would make sense for a bit of pink light to be there because the window is also illuminating it. So let's intensify the light a bit. Oh, whoops, I drew onto the window. Let's go back. Let's remove that window from our selection. Since it seems to be determined to end up in there. Get out, thank you. And let's add some extra delicious light. There we go. Look at that. Getting warm fuzzies just looking at it. Oh, let's add the background again, because this looks terrible. There we go. Yeah, we're starting to really capture that feel, I think. course, we still have a ways to go. I think these background buildings have been a thorn in my side for long enough. There is something we need to do about those. And that is, add some much needed shading. There's no way a thing silhouetted against the background would be this bright. It is an affront to nature and art. And America. There. Doesn't that look like it makes a lot more sense? It does. I draw my own conclusions, apparently. No, I feel like it's better. Now, one thing that's missing is Santa Claus. No, one thing that's missing is... supposedly this thing gives off a lot of light. So much so that I actually just drew the light in. But that's cheating. And not only is it cheating, it didn't even make sense because there needed to be a light on the floor, so... something like that, and then we would have to give it a bit of a fall off. So grab the eraser, put some opacity on that, and make this light a bit less extreme. Particularly on the outsides, as you try to soften it a bit. Alright, we have that in mind. Perhaps we should soften the shadow of the Christmas tree itself as well. Just a gentle bit off the edge. There, now the light might need to be a bit larger and a bit more transparent. Something we'll have to figure out. The light probably couldn't be visible this close under the tree, this near the shadow, so you would have something like that, and then something like something like draws over the whole thing. Yeah, like I said, the commentary might not be as riveting as with other with the game. It's kind of hard to really react to myself as easy as it is to react to a game. But I appreciate anyone sticking with the stream and watching anyway. I know it's not the most interesting thing in the world. It's more for me to improve myself. People who do decide to watch even for a few minutes, I really do appreciate that. And there have been many people, but you know, I don't know where I'm going with this. I was just trying to do the thing. I was overwhelmed by feelings. There, that's a bit nicer now. May have to tone it down a bit. Alright, that's another part done. Oh, this foreground. We can't forget this foreground here. You could argue this is pillow shading, but snow is kind of like a pillow, isn't it? It's snow after all. Small little thing is off here. So let's fix that. And there we go. Perhaps the chimneys need a soft light as well. But let's put a hard light on there first, just to see how that would look. We're being experimental here. Move it a bit. Oh, I still have the opacity to 10% each. Well, we are almost at the 2-hour mark, and I think it's just about... well, you know what? I was gonna close it off, but you know what? We'll do a few more things. Now that we're here anyway. My arm is kind of sore, you see, so I figured let's stop. But it is kind of addictive to be making progress like this. There we go. Bit of extra shading there. This building is moving away from the background, so we could make it darker as it... moving away from the background. It's moving away from the focal point, so we could... add some of that shading to make it nice. Give it that bit of depth, you know? Can only improve the composition. There, look at that. It's almost, it's starting to get that polished feel. We still have a ways to go after all, but still happy that we're getting to this point. I think these buildings could use a bit of extra light, so I'm gonna apply that. Now that the pink is no longer the side of the surface, maybe we can use it as the highlight. Yeah, let's see how that looks. So long as we, like... I think when you have a color like that, it works better as a highlight in general. I don't know why I was using it as a color to fill up whole planes. Well, you know, I am kind of I have a tendency to draw stuff in a sort of neon fashion. I guess you could call it a style, but it definitely doesn't much suit that gentle atmosphere of Christmas. There we go, a bit of extra light without making it too distracting. Now that I look at it, the Christmas tree is kind of it's kind of like a tertiary or a secondary focal point, so why don't we add some nice shading to it as well? There we go. More and more polish is permeating this piece. Well, like I kind of said before, we'll have to finish up very soon due to other work-related things and my aching right arm. But first, I want to add some lights to this bar to really, this chord, this string. I'm gonna keep them simple, like little balls for now. Probably, like I said, gonna add some slightly animated lights to it. Like maybe have the glow scale up and down a bit to give you that feeling of light. You know, that feel you get from light in a misty night. Where it almost has an almost physical presence due to the way you see it in the mist. Something like that. Even if that made no sense at all, I can kind of envision what I want to do with it. How long have we been listening to this piece? Yikes. Keep forgetting to change the music. Probably makes it a bit more boring than it should be. Okay, before we close off, we want to hear Mario's Sleigh Ride. This is actually a pretty well-known one by the One-Ups, played by a real band. It combines a Mario medley with a Christmas medley, and it's great. So I'll close off with this one. I really love this tune, it's so good. There. Even more Christmas lights. And with that, we've reached the 2-hour mark, so that was the last thing I wanted to do. So before we close up, we're going to reflect on the progress we've made and listen to this great music, of course. So we started Hereabouts, and we moved from that to this. Way more polished, way more varied. Just generally more a finished piece. I'm really happy about the progress we've made. So with that, we're gonna close off because it's been 2 hours, but I want to thank everyone who visited, and in particular Thomas, who gave lots of great feedback. It's always much appreciated when you really help me think about these pieces, especially because you've got such great insight on color. So thanks again, and I look forward to seeing your Christmas drawing as well. With that, this may be the last stream before Christmas, maybe not. But I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, very happy holidays, and I will likely see you next time, be it around Christmas or after. So, with all that said, have a great day and see you later. Bye bye! I'll just I'll let the stream go until the music is done. It's like 1 more minute, so I'll shut up, and after the music ends, I'll end the stream.